Shayla, hey girl, hey auntie, I know, welcome back, right? Shalom, shalom, grand rising. All right, we in the dining room, The grandbabies is here and in full effect. Y'all hear them in the background still. How much juice I got on this jacket? Okay, good. All right, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. Push this back just a little bit. Hey, happy new day. Yes, we made it home, finally. We made it home. I went to bed probably like 8 o'clock last night. I was just like, leave everything. Just leave everything. Leave everything packed. I'm going to bed. All right, beautiful people. Hey, you. I thought you was in the kitchen still eating. That's why I came in here. Don't be touching stuff.
I do like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, I know.
And we like all their favorite colors. And Brittany like all their favorite colors too.
That's her favorite color too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And
that's
then
amazing.
my favorite color, no, my mom and the color.
Well, thank you so much for letting me know. Put some clothes on.
Clothes? What are clothes?
I don't know. Dad might take you somewhere.
Come on, man.
He was just telling about his favorite colors.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
I know. Mine too. Come on, Jason. No, sir.
All right, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. It is September the 10th, 2022, day 209 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1227. Today, we start a very new book in the Oahspe, God's book of Eskra. Marlene, shalom, shalom. Kendrick, shalom. Hannah, shalom, shalom. All right, beautiful people. Father, we thank you for the ability to understand aerodynamics. You know what? That's selfish. That's selfish. That's about us. It's supposed to be. Oh, let's see. Here's one. Father, thank you for laws that can be discovered. Thank you. Look, now I'm just like, thank you for the scavenger hunt. It makes everything better when you figure it out yourself, right? Okay. I'm glad planes can stay in the sky. Because a plane ride is so much shorter than driving to some places very far away. All right, beautiful people. I'm still trying to pull myself together. Global purpose. Shalom, Anita. Greetings. All right, y'all. You can tell I overslept. I'm still trying to pull myself together. Let me get a sip of water. All right, Alicia, y'all. Hey, girl. All right. Chapter 1, page 585. God's book of Eskra. God said, this book shall be called Eskra because it is the history of the heavenly cycle bond. And after Eskra, we have reference letter A. Let's go to the end of the book of Eskra and find out where the letter references are located. Book of Es, daughter of Jehovah. Voila. Page 640 is where they start. All right, and A says, what we're looking for, Eskra. The origin of this word I have been unable to ascertain, and the same may be said of the place of this book. Eskra resumes the sacred history from the time of Moses, Capelia, and Chime, and brings it down to 400 years ago. As a matter of course, it covers the history of four great religions: Brahmanism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Mohammedanism. Strangely enough, however, it makes no mention of Jesus the Christ. It mentions a false god, Luamung, who falsely called himself Christ. The militarism that was manifested amongst the Christians at that time was attributed to his inspiration. There are other false gods who figure in the same militaristic way among the Brahmins, Buddhists, and Mohammedans. 1882 edition. I like this one. I can remember what this is that. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's go back to page 585. I'll just start verse 1 over again. God said, "This book shall be called Eskra, because it is the history of the heavenly cycle bond. It shall contain the substance of the heavenly records of 3,000 years of the first regions of the resurrection of the dead. My words are not of the earth, but of heaven." And after 3,000, there's reference, number 1 at the bottom, it says 3,300 years. All right. Verse 2. For the history of the earth ye know already, wherefore I reveal things ye know not of. Be ye profited therein understandingly, for my heavenly kingdoms will be presently your habitation. As it hath been revealed to you already, in regard to the succession of the God, and the periods of Dan, and the division of the higher from the lower heavens, it is sufficient unto you to know. It is sufficient unto you. Pull it together, girl. Let me go back. I'm going to start verse 3 over. Okay. As it hath been revealed to you already, in regard to the successions of the God, and the periods of Dan, and the division of the higher from the lower heavens, it is sufficient unto you to know that which is given of God is of him who is Jehovah's voice, without regard to which administration or which God. And to know also that heaven referred to in Eskra is not of the higher heavens, but ethera, but atmosphere. Hold on. And to know also that heaven referred to in Eskra is not of the higher heavens, ethera, but atmosphere, which heavens travel with the earth around the sun, which heavens were called the lower heavens by the ancients, and by some the intermediate world, through which heavens all souls must pass, being first purified and risen in wisdom, ere they can inherit the emancipated worlds in ether. That's good. Let me read this again. Hold on. I'm going to read all of verse 3 again. Okay. I just saw this little picture trying to formulate in my head while I was reading this. Hold on. Okay. But this is the part, the intermediate world part, where it started. Okay. Verse 3, page 585. As it hath been revealed to you already, in regard to the successions of the God, and the periods of Dan, and the division of the higher from the lower heavens, it is sufficient unto you to know that which is given of God is of him who is Jehovah's voice, without regard to which administration or which God, and to know also that heaven referred to in Eskra is not of the higher heavens, ethera, but atmosphere, which heavens with the earth travel around the sun, which heavens were called the lower heavens by the ancients, and by some the intermediate world, through which heavens all souls must pass, being first purified and risen in wisdom, ere they can inherit the emancipated worlds in ethera. Verse 4. Nor are these my revelations to mortals only, but to thousands of millions of the spirits of the dead, who know not the plan of the resurrection to higher heavens, but to wander about the earth, not even knowing the organizations of the kingdoms in my lowest heavens. You know something? I was thinking about when we were in excuse me, when we were in Disney, I was thinking about, not this because I haven't, this is my first time reading through the book of Eskra, but this just reminded me, you know how it says, well, we learn when some people pass on, they call them the spirits of the dead, right? So when they pass on, it's just like here. You know how, like if you've never been to a place before, you don't really know where it is, and you ask them for directions. Like clearly, it told us that it's the same way. And some people think that when you pass on, at least from my understanding, coming from Christianity, they said when you die, all things are made perfect, and you know everything, and that is not the case. I've come to find out that is not the case. Not that I've been dead before and came back, because I haven't, but interacting with the spiritual world, with spirits of the dead, now that I know who they are, and the ones that give you information, ones that give you false information, and hopefully you're able to decipher which is which, right? And even through here, we see the different examples where the spirits don't even know how to rise higher unless they're taught, right? So it's the same thing here. Like we don't, if I was to go, like we're going to Disney, right? How Disney World is so huge. That's when I found out they give you the little paper maps. You know, we have paper maps. You got GPSs and all those things, like all those things that we're learning about. We can clearly see it's the truth, because even here, if we don't get directions to somewhere, we don't know where to go, and we just kind of hang around the place. So children, if they want, think about children when they get lost, right? Most of the time, they get hysterical, running around the place, which reminded me of some of the spirits of the dead. You know, when they go to, when they come to capture the we'll just say the vagabond spirits and everything, spirits of the newly dead, or the ones who just roaming around in Hada. Remember when the creators, the ones who've risen higher to come capture them, to get them to places where they can be restored to their right frame of mind, they take off running around. They're hysterical. I'm like, yo, this is the same thing that's happening here. It's like I'm understanding it a little bit more. I can understand Oahspe a little bit more just by paying attention to some of the things that we have happening here in just different situations. And spirits of the dead act just like toddlers. Newborn spirits of the dead. If they, I'll say, let me rephrase that. Spirits of the dead are people who've passed from here. If they haven't risen spiritually, if they don't have any kind of higher rank before they pass from here, they haven't grown in wisdom, they're just like newborns and toddlers. Just like we see them acting here, they're acting the same exact way when they're born into heaven, or when they die, right? We call it death, but the spiritual realm calls it being born into the spiritual realm, right? They do act like that, right? So I'm like, yo, this is amazing. So, but this just reminded me of that again, because it's like, hold on, we need to find out where we're going. Let's find somebody who's been here, right? Excuse me, can you tell us how to get to this theater right here? You know, because we got the map, we still lost our way with the paper map, trying to figure things out. And it's just amazing when you just sit back and just think about some things and consider what we've been reading, just because a lot of this stuff, although we haven't been to the spiritual realm, we can see almost identical examples of it happening here in this realm, what they're explaining here. And it makes this life seem a whole lot more interesting. I'll say that, right? This is definitely training ground for us. Vinette, shalom, shalom. Amanda, shalom. Tanya, Bomberry, Grand Rising. All right, y'all. Let's go back. Page 585, verse 4. Nor are these my revelations to mortals only, but to thousands of millions of the spirits of the dead, who know not the plan of the resurrection to higher heavens, but who wander about on the earth, not even knowing the organizations of the kingdoms in my lowest heavens, whom I reach by coming to mortals and to places on the earth where they abide. And after abide is reference letter B. Let's hop over to page 640. B says, angelic communications received during meetings and council attest to the fact that when students of Oahspe come together in council at set times and read the text aloud, Easian spirits are brought into attendance amongst them by their guardian angels to listen and learn. This is the second time we read this. Let me highlight this. Elijah Grand Rising. You should watch What Dreams May Come. You know I am. Hold on. Because I realized this about the movie world. Producers and stuff who make this, different types of movies, they really get inspiration from the unseen realm, right? Because how do we learn? We learn through stories. Picture stories are even better because we can remember principles just like that. If we can remember the movie and recount what happened in sequence, a lot of times we can pull the lesson, the hidden lesson from it, right? To where most people may just get good entertainment. We can actually extract the lessons that were thrown out there for those who will catch it. Fritz, shalom, shalom. Let's read this again. Angelic communications received during meetings in council, and council has the quotation marks around it. During meetings in council, attest to the fact that when students of Oahspe come together in council at set times and read the text aloud, Easian spirits are brought into attendance amongst them by their guardian angels to listen and learn. Remember when we went over this before? Remember how I told you last year now, I had started having dreams about all these dead people coming to me. I'm like, why in the world is all these? And I was telling myself, I was like, yo, I'm dreaming about dead people. Like, I mean, I have dreams about people who passed before, but it's like nonstop. I'm like, why is all these dead people? And this was like right when we started reading Oahspe, and I couldn't understand. I'm like, have I done something? Am I supposed to be reading this book? Why is all these dead people coming to me in my dreams? It's like they're just coming crowded to my house. I'm like, what in the world? And I'm like, why are y'all here? I'm thinking to myself, why you're here. But the Bible at that time, reading through the Old Testament, where it said we should not speak to the spirits of the dead and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, why you here? Even when my family members come to me, I look at them like, I ain't supposed to be talking to the dead. Why is you here? Right? But even that, I'm like, okay, why is this happening? Clearly, Father, you're allowing this to happen for some reason. What should I be paying attention to? Right? And so they still come. And I'm just like, I just go about my business, right? Because, I wasn't really sure. But now I kind of understand. I'm like, oh, snap. Yeah, because we've been reading Oahspe. And I've been doing this set time thing for years. And now that we're reading Oahspe, and I just kind of start putting two and two together. And this is, if I hadn't found any other reason why I'm dreaming about dead people and why they come into my house, this right here, I didn't even know we was gonna come across this. This is the second time we came across this right here, where it says when you read Oahspe at set times, the angels in the Etherian realms are shards who have charge over certain regions. They bring their students or their children or the spirits that they have charge over. They bring them to where Oahspe is being read out loud, right? I'm like, yo, this is crazy. The one with Robin, okay, I'm gonna put that. What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams, okay. Make sure. That way I can know that's the right one. Okay, thank you for that, Elijah. Fritz, we're actually reading a reference on page 640, reference B, on page 640, but we're in God's book of Eskra, which we're about to go back to now. And that's on page 585, and we are on verse 5. Matter of fact, let's just go back to verse 4. Nor are these my revelations to mortals only, but to thousands of millions of the spirits of the dead who know not the plan of the resurrection to higher heavens, but who wander about on the earth, not even knowing the organizations of the kingdoms in my lowest of heavens, whom I reach by coming to mortals and to places on the earth where they abide. For many such angels believe the heavens to be as an unorganized wilderness, void of government and instruction and discipline. And by virtue of their presence with mortals, though invisible to them, do inspire mortals with the same darkness, wherefrom mortals have concluded there are neither lords nor gods who are Jehovah's high officers in these kingdoms. And after neither lords nor gods, after gods is reference number 2, and down at the bottom 2 just says God, is singular. Up here in the paragraph is plural with the S, gods. All right, verse 8. These matters shall be set forth in brief in Eskra, the fullness of which shall be open unto mortals and angels in the time near at hand. For they shall see and read the books in the libraries of these heavens and learn to know of their own knowledge. Let me read that again. These matters shall be set forth in brief in Eskra, the full of which shall be open unto mortals and angels in time near at hand. For they shall see and read the books in the libraries of these heavens and learn to know of their own knowledge. Verse 9. Therefore, the light of this book of Eskra is not of one God or one Lord or one recording angel who are constantly succeeding one another, but of the body of the first heavens of the earth for the period of this cycle, which is now at the close. Chapter 2. God, Son of Jehovah, said, Give ear, O earth, and be attentive to the words of Jehovah's Son, and ye mortals of the earth. For I have said, the time shall surely come when all things shall be revealed to the inhabitants of the earth. Be patient and wise in understanding me. My words are for your resurrection forever, and for the glory of the Creator. And ye angels of heaven, draw near, for I will reveal to you that which is for your own good. The multitude of my kingdoms shall be opened up to your understanding also. And O ye, my high-raised lords and officers of heaven, call up your hosts from far and near. Hear ye the words of your God. Call ye up the mighty ones of Yogin-Naquatra, and the inhabitants of Theovrakistan, and Hebim, the successor to Usamis of the 6 heavens of Ugsat-Disipi, to Tiwalawala, to Setisong, to Goidhu, to Elapub, to Apax, and to Fu. And call ye up the successors to Hibin, and the primal gods under him of his 6 mighty heavens, and Ongwu, the successor to Anusahaj of the heavenly reasons, the Aegean forest, Terpeset with her 12 heavenly kingdoms, the place of Negathogan, and Shumat and Thorokak, and Inishapag, Hapaga, and Harbor, and Habor, and Amga, and Magosa, and Diwan, and Sepha Kostras, and Nubib, and Mar, and Wis Chowicha, and to their primal gods and generals and captains, and to Usa Lilith, successor to Osiris of Vrigingin, no, that's not how you say that. Vriginyana, and to Raxia, successor to Tan of Ovela, and Yedonia, successor to Sudga of Tempisiv, and to Yima, successor to Egypt of Rathaya, and to Hydmes, successor to Shuwanlu of Wayotos, and to their primal gods and successors, and to their generals and captains, and to Zuban, successor to the line of Yatante, with her 12 subjective heavens, the Fiscador, the Wulu, the Yam Yam, the Katiro, the Wanahogan, the Rayaks, the Ginwan, the Shawana, the Wishhoga, the Potomata, the Shem Meseh, and Muskadayan. And after Shem Meseh is reference number 3, and at the bottom it says Shawase. Verse 11, page 586. And to Yesotosisi, successor to Yadma of the heavenly regions of Ornababa, with 7 mighty kingdoms, Gutha and Yambik and Wingsu and Ithya and Yorama and Hai de Hanya and Wurtembaga, and to their primal gods and their successors, and to their generals and captains, and to Pidissimo, successor to Savraquatra of the heavenly place, Josayama, with her 18 heavenly kingdoms, Yan and Lucin, and Cad and Rum, and Jusak and Solomon and Ressa, and Nibakak and Hizeph, and Sakur and Sin Chong, and Remthax, and Vardisa, and Kessa Dranakas, and Hui Kamakaksanad, and Newly Wing Tremas, and Kissa Yaya, and to their primal gods and successors, and to their generals and captains, and to all other gods of the heavenly regions of atmosphere, the Hada of the earth, and to their successors and generals and captains, and to the heavenly Hayden regions of Shoigan, with her 28 sub-kingdoms, and to the heavenly Hayden regions of Chiwan. And after Chiwan is reference number 5, and at the bottom it said, I definitely skipped one. Hold on. Okay, let me just read 4 and 5. The one I skipped a couple sentences up was reference number 4, where it says Hui Kamaksonad. And down at the bottom, that was reference number 4. And down at the bottom, it just has a G, is Hu Gamaksonad. Back down where we were just at reference number 5, it's Chiwan, and at the bottom it says Giwan. Okay. Let's see. Let me just start 16 over. And to all other gods of the heavenly regions of atmosphere, the Hada of the earth, and to their successors and generals and captains, and to the heavenly Hayden regions of Shoigan, with her 28 sub-kingdoms, and to the heavenly Hayden regions of Chiwan, with her 44 sub-kingdoms, and to their exalted officers and teachers, heavenly sons and daughters of Jehovah, and to the plateau of Narid and the second resurrection, with her 200 heavenly kingdoms, their gods and generals and captains and high teachers, sons and daughters of Jehovah, and to the plateau of Yakaba, 2,000 miles high, with her 600 heavenly kingdoms and their gods and high officers, and to the plateau of Yanurib, 2,100 miles high, with her 400 heavenly kingdoms and their gods and high officers, and the 7th plateau of Havagamatris, excuse me, and the 7 plateaus, and the 7 plateaus of Havagamatris, with their 2,000 heavenly kingdoms and their gods and high officers, and the 6 plateaus of Vragoamin, with their 1,400 heavenly kingdoms and their gods and high officers, and the 14 plateaus of Gima Umaestra, with their 3,400 heavenly kingdoms and their gods and high officers, and to all other plateaus in the heavens of the earth, the atmospherian regions, and to the gods of all heavenly kingdoms in these lower heavens, the intermediate world of the angels, raised up out of the earth. God said, Jehovah called upon me, his son, saying, My son, call aloud in my name with my voice, stir up all these heavenly regions I have named. And I know we haven't said it in a while, but just to recap who God is, true God is also called the Son of God, which is the reigning, let's say the reigning president of the earth at that time. So when you see my son, his daughter, all of that through here, it's referring to the current God ruling earth at the moment. And God is not the creator, which Oahspe refers to as Jehovah and Yolin and a couple other names, Geechee, all that stuff, right? So just in case there's new people. Okay, verse 24. God said, Jehovah called upon me, his son, saying, My son, call aloud in my name with my voice, stir up all these heavenly regions I have named. For my gods and high-raised officers shall open unto thee their libraries of heavenly books, which shall yield up my treasures. Y'all know I'm a book reader. For my gods and high-raised officers shall open unto thee their libraries of heavenly books, which shall yield up my treasures. I will make the angels of heaven know me and my word. They shall come together from their countless heavenly kingdoms and places, for my hand and my strong arm is upon them. The labors of my lower heavens shall be clothed in mortal words and handed down to mortals. My gods, excuse me, my gods and my primal gods and generals and captains shall uncover their proceedings before the heavens and the earth. They shall come together and be as one man with one voice, and their word shall be my word. For my prophets have proclaimed it abroad, that the time would come when I would reveal all things unto men, and things that were dark made plain, and things in light made as heaven rejoicing. All right, y'all. Chapter 3, page 586. Hear my voice, O angels and mortals. The words of the heavens of the earth are my words, orderly and well disciplined. No man can imitate me. Angels cannot counterfeit me. My words are from the fountain that erreth not forever. Whoso seeth my way cannot fail to understand. I quibble not, nor beat about the bush. Even lords and gods are as nothing in my hands. I trim them up and prune their orchards in my own way. I sift and weigh and assort, for I am Jehovah the Almighty. I am the sum of the voice of all the lower heavens, the doings of gods and high officers, the person of the word of 3,000 years. And my record shall be the standard for mortals and angels for thousands of years to come. Other books and other words will be written and spoken, and they shall pass away and be remembered not by angels nor men. But my words, the words of Eskra, will live and endure forever. Then spake God, saying, For I am his fountain of the tree of bond. I am his cycle of the great serpent's Oahspe, and cannot die or go out of remembrance. I am as a link in the great cycle for the section of bond in the solar vortex. And after great cycle is reference number 6. And down at the bottom it says, in a great circle. Verse 6. During every cycle I come and speak, and my words are not like other words. I plant them on the low earth, and they take root and grow into a tree that reacheth up into heaven. And the angels of heaven come thither and gather my words, for they are the fruit of everlasting life, and of the resurrection of mortals, and of the spirits of the dead. Give ear, O ye nations of the earth, and magnify your understanding for the wisdom of the Almighty. He singleth not out one man or one God, and saith, Behold, by him judge ye me and my works, or giveth the history of all the living in one book. The pith of things is the unit. Hold on. The pith of things is the unit sprung from all. Chapter 4. Give ear, O man, and be wise in thy judgment, of sure perception and good discernment in the revelations of my words in the past, in the cycles past and present. For I summed up all the gods of the hidden regions of the earth, and all their high officers in the plateaus and heavenly kingdoms thereof, and I named them God. And in their dominions with mortals I named them Lord. As one, even God, made I them in my past revelations on the earth, that I might not confuse the judgment of men. So pretty much saying that he set up the ranks, and if you're here, just like we see it here, it's set up, right? Over cities, we have mayors, and then we have the council members and stuff of the mayor's administration. Then higher, you have the House of Representatives, right? You got the state, you got the local governments, state governments, the federal governments, right, all the way up until the president. You got his cabinet, all that. He said he set up all over the earth, and he just names them gods, lords, vice gods, lord gods, you know. But it's also those full of shenanigans that are on the false side, lying and trying to lead the mortals astray, right? So we got to be able to clarify and identify who is who. Let me just go back. Give ear, O man, and be wise in thy judgment, of sure perception and good discernment in the revelations of my words in the cycles past and present. For I summed up all the gods of the hidden regions of the earth, and all their high officers in the plateaus and heavenly kingdoms thereof, and I named them God. And in their dominions with mortals I named them Lord. As one, even God, made I them in my past revelations of the earth, that I might not confuse the judgment of men. And all the heavenly places of the earth, the atmospherian heavens, which travel with the earth around the sun, I named Hada, the intermediate world, the lower heaven, through which none can pass to the ethereal heaven till purged of self and made spotless, pure, and strong in spirit. So this is where you're hanging out, my G. Until you are purged enough to handle the higher light. This realm is real busy because they interact a lot with us. Of this hidden heaven and of her gods and their labors made I two words, God and heaven, and Eskra is the sermon thereof, in which ye nations of the earth and ye angels of heaven shall profit in spirit, as by experience past the future becometh fortified in wisdom and strength. In which sermon all resurrection is of God, who is Jehovah's Son, but to distinguish from which God I named all that desired not resurrection in heaven, but loved more the earth, Satan. Let me read that again. Listen. Let me go back to 4. Of this hidden heaven and of her gods and their labors made I two words, God and heaven, and Eskra is the sermon thereof, in which ye nations of the earth and ye angels of heaven shall profit in spirit, as by experience past the future becometh fortified in wisdom and strength. In which sermon all resurrection is of God, who is Jehovah's Son, but to distinguish from which God I name all that desired not resurrection in heaven, but loved more the earth, Satan. Those who want to come back here and inherit the earth, he named those Satan. And anything teaching you that your home is here, that this is the only place to go, you're just going to stay here and beautify this place, you should beautify it in your time of passing. But to stay here or to die to come back here, you might want to check into that. In which sermon all resurrection is of God, who is Jehovah's Son, but to distinguish from which God I name all that desired not resurrection in heaven, but loved more the earth, Satan. And whoso loved evil and practiced it, I named Satan. And whoso combined as angels or as mortals to make anarchy, I named evil workers for hell. As God and heaven are of the resurrection, so are Satan, hell, and the devil of the declension. To one or other, resurrection or declension belong all men on the earth, and to one or the other belong all the spirits of the dead. None can stand still. All the living are on the move forever. We all live. Even the spirits of the dead, they just lose their flesh, but they still living. But then one of the two, right? They either going towards resurrection or declension, or we're coming back here to the earth. Not that they're going to reincarnate, because that's not a thing. They're just going to be without bodies here, trying to take over somebody else's body. Verse 9, Jehovah is life, motion, individual, person, in proof of which he gave unto thee life, motion, individuality, person. To develop these four entities is resurrection toward him more and more, which is heavenly. To neglect them or pervert them is to go away from him, which is declension, which can lead to entire destruction. Hello, baby.
Hi.
You come to listen?
Yes.
Okay.
What that?
Highlighter.
Oh.
What color is that? Your daddy calling you. To develop these four entities is resurrection toward him more and more, which is heavenly. To neglect them or pervert them is to go away from him, which is declension, which can lead to entire destruction. No man can be life for another, nor motion, nor individuality, nor person for another. For himself and to himself hath Jehovah created him with these. Nor can any of the gods, however exalted, give to or take away these things. For even though the highest raised angels may attain to the earth, For even though the highest raised angels may attain to turn the earth over, or to dissolve it as the air in the firmament, or create a new earth, yet none of these can create life or motion or an individual or person. Let's read that again. First of all, we will rise so high where we can create our own earth. Like, boy, we are so at the lower levels of life. Listen, hold on. Let me highlight this. That's what this just said, y'all. Which I can totally dig. I can see this. Just looking at life here gives proof that these things are true. Because look at what we're doing here, right? It's just on a lower level. Listen. Let me go back. Verse 12. No man can be life for another, nor motion, nor individuality, nor person for another. For himself and to himself hath Jehovah created him with these. Nor can any of the gods, however exalted, give to or take away these things. For even though the highest raised angels may attain to turn the earth over, or to dissolve it as the air in the firmament, or create a new earth, yet none of these can create life or motion or an individual or person. These are from Jehovah, and in him and all angels, the gods and lords and generals and captains and chief in heaven are but the brothers and sisters of mortals and the spirits of the dead. And yet, O man of the earth, and thou, angel of the heavens of the earth, be not puffed up or make light of the gods, or lords, or saviors, or chiefs of the heavens, for thou art compared to them, but as a drop of water is compared to the ocean. Yeah, I'm just kind of saying that a little bit. As a man amongst you employeth 1,000 men to do his bidding, so have I, your God, thousands of millions of angels to speak in my name. Put not off my words. Put not off my words, saying, it is but your conscience speaking. My angels speak to you in spirit with my very voice and words, which are Jehovah's also, according to the capacities and talents of such mortals as practice my commandments, so do I appropriate them to assist in the resurrections. Look, we were able to kind of pick that up as we're reading through here, right? Because as we begin to understand some higher truths, and Oahspe really gives you like the higher truths of the spirit, which the Bible or none of the other religious books that I've read through, it really don't hit upon the spiritual aspect, which we can clearly tell is happening, but they don't really get into that. And the stuff that they do is just seems like it's on the lowest level of things, to where they still can't answer certain questions that's happening in the spirit. And I'm not saying Oahspe answers all of those, but it sure answers a whole heck of a lot of the ones that Christianity hadn't been able to answer for me, right? Especially because I've been experiencing spiritual things all my life from the time I was little, right? All this interaction spiritually. And even when I transferred over and moved from Christianity to the Hebrew roots, I was asking a pastor, okay, you saying all this Torah and everything. I said, okay, so what about the demon spirits? Help me understand this. Ones that I can see, the stuff that I'm seeing, where can I find this? Help me with this. You know what? Torah doesn't talk about this. I know Torah don't talk about that. That's what I'm asking you. Do you know some other things, books, where I can find this information? Torah doesn't talk about it. It was just, I'm like, so this is just what is happening. Torah doesn't talk about it. Bro, you can just say you don't know. You need to find another teacher or somebody. They don't even say that. They just said, no, they just say, it's almost like it's something bad for them to say, you know what, sister, I really cannot answer that for you because I don't even know. They would help a lot of us out if they just said they didn't know. We all need to figure this out together, right? Look, okay. Verse 19, page 587. According to the capacities and talents of such mortals as practice my commandments, so do I appropriate them to assist in the resurrections, right? So that's pretty much saying, at least from my understanding of this, as we're learning more spiritual things and we operating in them, we can teach others and we can help raise them up, which helps lead them towards resurrecting higher. And not just the mortals, the spirits who still have their fleshly bodies here, but also the ones that are still here without their bodies, right? Because they're here, they're active, they hear us, they interact with us. Some of them be acting crazy trying to scare us, right? But they can learn as well, right? So we help raise mortals and spirits of the dead. Okay. According to the capacities and talents of such mortals as practice my commandments, so do I appropriate them to assist in the resurrections. And in the same way do I allot my ashars to abide with you, to the musician, angel musicians, to the philosopher, angel philosophers, to the historian, angel historians. I know I got an angel historian with me. History is my thing. I love the history of it all. Look, I'm a researcher. Yo, listen. Okay, let me keep reading. Verse 20, I'm going to start over. And in the same way do I allot my ashars to abide with you, to the musician, angel musicians, to the philosopher, angel philosophers, to the historian, angel historians, to the cosmographer, angel cosmographers, to the revelator, angel revelators, even so unto all men who seek to serve Jehovah by doing good. And these, my ashars, which I place over you, are not individual angels, merely acting and speaking their own notions, but are organized companies of thousands of millions who labor through a chief angel called Lord, and all of them are in concord with me and my kingdoms, directed by my holy council of millions of angels, high in wisdom, which is directed by me, your God, even as I am one with other gods who are one with Jehovah. Right? They found that that note of harmony, right? Remember we was learning about that? And Jehovah came down and he said, I'm gonna give you the what they call that note, y'all. I forgot. But anyway, the main note. Now tune everybody to this. First, it was the whole husband and wife thing, right? Everybody was scattered, couldn't figure out what was going on. You need to find the harmony note. It wasn't a harmony note. What note? What they call it, y'all? Now I'll be looking for it. Hold on. What day? Did I write that down? King, Chamber of Prophecy, music. It was the day we did the music, Jane. It was like the first day. Play your instrument. It was Tuesday, August 30th. It was definitely this day. Hold on. Let me go to page 538. Hold on. We started there. I was singing a new song. Hold on. Prophetic spell. Hold on. I'll be looking for this. Married. Good. Thank you. The keynote. Why couldn't I remember that? You gotta find the keynote, right? The keynote. When you find the keynote by aligning yourself with the Creator, right? So the gods align themselves with the Creator, right? Some people, when they speak as Jehovah, is because they have aligned themselves with Jehovah, with the Creator. So whatever they speaking is just like he's speaking, right? Because you're the conduit who's aligned with him, and you can speak as Jehovah was speaking or as the Creator is speaking. Just like those under you, if they're aligned with you and you're aligned with the Creator, they can speak as Jehovah is speaking, even though it's you all the way down the line. If everybody is aligned with the keynote, right? The keynote maker, everybody's in tune, everybody's in harmony, one sound, one band, right? Whose name is on that? Whose? Okay. It's for Sylvan, your work. When you give your homework, you put it in that. You carry that when you go. All right, get out of here. Go. Don't start messing with stuff. I go from one room, y'all. Find a reason to come in here. Okay. So I got into that because it says right here. Matter of fact, let me it's the whole verse 21. And these, let's go back to 20. And in the same way do I allot my ashars to abide with you, to the angel musicians, because if they're abiding with you and they're in line with and they've all attuned themselves to the keynote, everybody got a part. This is the key. Ding. Right? Everybody tuned in? We all tuned in? Okay, let's flow. We make some music. Okay, so you tuned in. I'm going to put you over here, right? You got the alto section. You got the soprano sections. You got the bass section. We're going to do a cappella over here. Everybody's tuned in with their conductor, because the conductor is in tune with the key note, and everybody sings a beautiful song, right? Same thing. Us here with mortals, if certain gifts we have, ashars or heavenly angels, whatever you want to call them, they're in tune with the Creator, they come and help us. That's how people can make out when we were out here at Disney, just think about all the songs that are created. Not just Disney, songs all over the world, the different genres and everything. My mind is just blown how all these billions of songs can be made and still constantly being made with all these different tunes, and none sound the same, but they're all equally as beautiful, right? A lot of this stuff, single people who are putting out albums and albums and album after year after year. It's like, how do you sit and come up with all these tunes? Like, all the different words. I know we got writers, ghostwriters, and all those different type of things. But how do you constantly get this flow? Because you got to have help, right? Whether they acknowledge it or not. Yes, baby.
I'm showing you.
Can you sit here with me?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
They get this inspiration from the unseen realm. They get these tunes, right? I know I get things in my dream. I hear musicians, I was sleeping, I heard this tune, right? And I got up, I heard these words. I saw this and I wrote it down. The inspiration comes from the unseen realm, right? This stuff we know to be true. We can just sit and just think about just observe some things that happen here, right? Listen. This is the closest thing we've found so far in Oahspe that explains a lot of the stuff that happens here. Look, verse 20, page 587. And in the same way, let me go back. According to the capacities and talents of such mortals as practice my commandments, being in line with the keynote. If you're practicing his commandments, that's how you tune yourself to the keynote. If you're doing the commandments, we can use you. We can use you as a conductor, right? According to the capacities and talents of such mortals as practice my commandments, so do I. Boy, see, I just told you can sit in here with me. I'm about to send you back in there with your daddy. Right, Fritz, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Maurice, White channeling, right? Whether you channeling from the heavenly kingdoms or, yeah, Glory, thank you. Look, and some of the music today sounds the same. For example, AC/DC, right? All these people, some of them will tell you they channel spirits. Now, some of them, they don't use the creators' channelers, if you want to call them the creators' channelers or the angels of higher light. They do. It operates the same way. They're just channeling it from Hada. And they get good sounding stuff and make you want to go and cut loose, but they get it. And it seems just as beautiful, but it does something different to your spirit, right? Which is why you have to be careful with certain types of music you listen to. But yeah, y'all are absolutely right. Okay, let me read this again. I know I done read this like 15 times already, but it's so good. According to the capacities and talents of such mortals as practice my commandments, so do I appropriate them to assist in the resurrections. And in the same way do I allot my ashars to abide with you, to the musician, angel musicians, to the philosopher, angel philosophers. Hold on. And these, my ashars, which I place over you, are not individual angels merely acting and speaking their own notions, but are organized companies of thousands of millions who labor through a chief angel called Lord, and all of them are in concord with me and my kingdoms, directed by my holy council of millions of angels, high in wisdom, which is directed by me, your God, even as I am one with other gods who are one with Jehovah. See how they're all in concert, all attuned to the keynote. Pentatronics. Pentatonics, Amanda. What is that? I ain't never heard of that. Pentatonics. What is that? Is that a group? If it's a group, I ain't never heard of it. Okay. Verse 22. What my angels...
Cookie, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing, baby? What does it look like I'm doing?
Drawing.
Oh, I was. Well, I wasn't drawing. I was highlighting.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm highlighting some things that jump out at me.
My mom like purple. My mom like...
Your mom got a purple one, too?
Yeah.
Purple is awesome.
And my mom like pink.
She like pink?
Yeah.
I know. I like pink, too, but I used all my pink up. I got to get some more.
And me like blue. And my dad like blue, and me like blue.
Oh, that is awesome.
And she dad like blue. I like blue.
Very good. Can I finish reading now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Verse.
Purple, pink, orange.
Yes, very good. Verse 22. What my angels do in truth and wisdom, for righteousness' sake, my angels do and reveal unto you in my name. And after for righteousness' sake is reference number 7. At the bottom it says, righteousness' sake, these I ratify in heaven. What I do in heaven, my angels do. Oh, yeah. Oh, I do know okay, thank you, Amanda. Right. Pentatonics. Yeah, the ones that did the acapella Hallelujah. Right. I did hear of them. Thank you. Yeah. I love them. I love their acapella songs. Okay. I don't know why their name didn't click. Okay, where we at? Literally at the hour mark. Okay. Let's read a little bit more. It's Saturday, right? Okay. Chapter 5, page 588. The Lord said, this is the labor of God after the dawn of the ark of bond. God crowned 4,400 lords and titled them lords of the heavenly hosts. And up here after 4,400 is reference number 8. And at the bottom it says 4,400 lords. Verse 3, and God allotted to every one of them 100 messengers and 50 heralds, and gave them authority to provide their own attendance in their own way. God said, that I may hear the voices of my lords, when ye are within your own kingdoms, ye shall appoint representatives unto my throne, and there shall be of such representatives 1 for every 400 lords of the host. And the representative lords shall be speakers for the kingdoms that appoint them, and have power on important occasions to summon to my throne all their constituent lords. And the representative lords shall be known in heaven, and entered into the libraries thereof as the Holy 11, for they are symbolical of the seasons on the earth. Now therefore the lords of the hosts elected the Holy 11, and God anointed them, and their names were entered into the libraries of heavens. These then are the Holy 11 to wit: Lakir, Lakash, Yopez, Leo, and after Yopez, Leo is reference number 9, and it says Yopez, Lo. Vadhuin, Acho, Zahawi, Ezin, Khan, Zedna, Utimis, and Ardophus. And God gave authority to the Holy 11 to speak before the throne after the manner of the councils of the higher heavens. God said unto the lords of the host, your work is a good work. So the lords of the host departed to their several kingdoms, but the Holy 11 were duly installed and took their places in front of the throne of God. Chapter 6. And God appointed 2,000 supervisors unto each of the Holy 11, and 8,800 surveyors, and 4,400 captains of roads, and said unto them, go ye and build roadways between all the heavenly kingdoms and atmosphere, and I give unto you 2,000 million laborers to be divided between you according to the distances and places of the roads. And God gave authority to Toivagraha to examine the records and to make apportionment of officers and make the apportionment of officers and laborers on the roads. And he thus accomplished these things. God said, my heavens shall be divided into 11 parts, one unto each of the Holy 11. The said 11 divisions were accomplished, and thus named to wit: Sinyativi, Horak, Demiah, Adam, Hosea, Harivia, Sinisio, Amsek, Gadesa, Etero, and Aroq. Demiah, Adam, and Hosea comprise all the lowest Hayden regions bordering on the earth, and these 3 divisions extended around the earth and were 12 miles high. Sinyativi, Horak, and Amsek comprised the next grade of heavenly kingdoms outward from the earth and were 1,000 miles high, more or less. Gadesa and Etero were the next grade of heavenly kingdoms outward from the earth and were 2,000 miles high. Harivaya was next and was outward from the earth 2,500 miles. And next after this was Aroku, which was 3,000 miles above the earth. Aroku was therefore the highest of the atmospheric heavens in those days. These 5 heavenly spheres. Hold on, where you going with that highlighter? You come here. Where you going with it? What you about to do with it? Draw on what?
On this.
Okay, you better keep it on that paper too.
Okay.
All right. Now watch little people with stuff that they can color on my walls and chairs. Okay.
A blue.
What?
A blue.
It is blue.
Why
Okay.
do I got it?
Verse 9. All right. Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. Okay. What was I at? Okay, within the first sphere. I think that was verse 9. Yeah, we just do 9. Shalom, shalom, Mom. Okay, page 588, verse 9. You know what? We played in the rain. The day we was going to the water park, which was our last full day, was like our rest day at the resort. We decided we'd go to the water park. But, you know, Florida rains all day. But this last day, it actually rained all day, and not just like in the noontime. And so we didn't check the weather before we went out. So we went out there and we caught the Disney transportation out there just to find out that they had closed it because of the rain, and they saw lightning. So anytime there's lightning, they close for like 30 to 45 minutes until there hasn't been lightning for like 30 minutes, and then they can reopen the park. But it was constantly going, so they had decided to close the park the rest of the day. Yes, babe.
Look.
And so we was out there, and so we didn't get to go to the water park. So we just decided, since it was raining and we really couldn't get into a place that was covered at this time, we figured we just play in the rain. You know, kids love playing in the rain. Played in the rain, splashing and stuff. Even got a couple of videos with, I'm going to post it today. Not thinking about the bus we had to get back on. The buses are freezing cold, right? So now everybody's like sniffing, you know, it's raining. It's hot. It was hot as crap outside playing in the rain. It would have been cool if we would have like drove our car and we could have just kind of kept the windows down without the AC. Boy, don't put that in your mouth. But we got on the bus, freezing cold, wet. Like when I say we was wet, we were wet because there was nowhere to get covered. So we got on the bus, wet, and the AC, it wasn't just us, it was a bunch of people that was out there waiting that went to the water park. So everybody's wet, and the bus is freezing cold. It felt like it was below zero, but it really wasn't, but it was cold. And the ride from there all the way back to the resort was about 20 minutes. So pores open, freezing cold, wet. Now I'm sniffing. Bella's like, Mom, I need some cough medicine. I need something. I was like, you don't need cough medicine. I might give you something for like the sniffles or whatever. But yeah. So that's why. So actually it started yesterday too.
Cookie. Oh, I think you like that. I think you did my top.
No, don't press any buttons on my laptop. All right. Let me finish this, y'all. Okay. Verse 9, page 588. These 5 heavenly spheres.
Cookie. I saw you.
I see. That is beautiful.
Got my dad.
All right. Keep on drawing. Let me finish reading, little baby. These 5 heavenly spheres, therefore, comprise...
Look up my dad's eyes.
Hey, you want to take that in there with your dad so he can watch you draw? Y'all should just see the face he made like he knew what I was trying to do. He said... Okay, then you can stay right here. Just don't be so loud, okay? These 5 heavenly spheres, therefore comprised the whole of the inhabited heavens of the earth, and yet there were thousands of plateaus still further away from the earth and within her vortex, but uninhabited. As for Oroku and Harivia, they were inhabited mostly by angels of the highest atmospheric grades. Little baby. Hello, hey girl, hey. Look, if you want to stay here, son, I'm gonna need you.
Look on the back.
I see.
I'm tucked down. I right here.
Okay. Do me a favor. Slide over there, baby. Slide over there.
But
Thank
I
you.
want to fall.
You ain't gonna fall. Just go and get up there. These 5 heavenly spheres, therefore, go in there with your daddy. This is just being too loud. Elijah, call Jackson, please. Take it with you. See, I tried to work something out, son. Go ahead. Go in there with your daddy. Little people. Look, okay. Yeah, daddy. Page 588, verse 9. These 5 heavenly spheres, therefore, comprise the whole of the inhabited heavens. These 5 heavenly spheres, therefore, comprise the whole of the inhabited heavens of the earth. And yet there were thousands of plateaus still further away from the earth and within her vortex, but uninhabited. As for Oroku and Hirivia, they were inhabited mostly by angels of the highest atmospheric grades. God said, from this time forth, all heavenly marriages of brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah shall take place in Harivia and Oroku instead of as heretofore in the thousands of heavenly kingdoms. And all Esians shall be hereafter maintained within the first sphere of Hada, within the regions of Demea and Adam and Hosea. And as these rise in wisdom and strength, they shall advance in place as well as grade, going in the direction of Harivia and Oroku, from which all resurrections for the ethereal worlds shall take place. And God caused the boundaries of Adam and Hosea to embrace the eastern continents of the earth, but Demea embraced the western. To the lords of the hosts, God had said, the great love that mortals have for their kindred who are dead is like a cord forever pulling their souls back to earth. Neither do mortals understand my heavens, and that the soul of man should rise upward. They cry out to me continually, O God, send thou back to me the spirit of my kin. Lord, take me now. Bring them back or take me too. I'm like, y'all go ahead. I'll see you when you get there. When I get there. Not too soon, though. I love you. It's not to make fun of anybody, because it's, yeah. I understand the heartache and the pain of missing loved ones. Listen to this. Ooh, I stopped. I didn't even read 17. Look, hold on. Listen to this. Ooh, all this is good. Listen. Verse 14. To the lords of the hosts, God had said, the great love that mortals have for their kindred who are dead is like a cord forever pulling their souls back to earth. Neither do mortals understand my heavens, and that the soul of man should rise upward. They cry out unto me continually, O God, send thou back to me the spirit of my kin. And they do not understand that their prayers are in opposition to the resurrection of the spirits of the dead. And likewise doth the Esian cry out to me, O God, take me back to my mortal kin. For he also comprehendeth not the resurrection, but in the gratification of his love would linger forever on the earth. Suffer ye not mortals to commune. Here is why. Listen, yo, what? Wait a minute, hold on. What, baby?
Am I hungry?
You hungry? Go tell your daddy. Because when I came downstairs, I was all in the kitchen eating. Listen to this. Listen to this. Look. Listen. Listen. And likewise doth the Ezian cry out to me, O God, take me back to my mortal kin, for he also comprehendeth not the resurrection, but in the gratification of his love would linger forever on the earth. Suffer ye not mortals to commune with the spirits of the dead. Now that's all we got in the Bible, right? Don't let them talk to the spirits of the dead. Listen. Suffer ye not mortals to commune with the spirits of the dead, and the Lord's carried out the commandment of God, right? So they are not to commune. We are not to commune with the spirits of the dead. Why? Because it would keep them here. It would keep them here, and they will not be looking towards their resurrection, right? Yeah, that's your family. They love you, and they could be kept here if you keep talking to them, right? If you're not talking to them, listen, my G, you should be rising. Why is you here? Now I know. Now I can go back in. When I had these dreams and stuff, and they become, is you here to learn? Because I ain't gonna keep you here. I'm gonna need you to be growing, right? If you need if you need a little bit of instruction from Oahspe, I mean, I'm reading every morning at 7:15, right? 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You listen for a bit, then you need to keep going. You don't need to stay here, right? Right. Saul and Samuel, glory. Jamia, shalom. Listen. This is the only part. No, the spirits of the dead have not. If they just died, they clearly haven't resurrected yet, right? Newborn spirits. There's a process. They have to be, from what we're learning, when they pass away, their spirits are still developing. They're still growing. They have to learn things, just like we read a couple chapters ago, that while they're in the hotter regions of the lower heavens atmosphere, they have to be purged of all things that would keep them from rising, right? They have to be completely cleaned up so they be able to handle the light from the higher heavens. So it's like just a graduation. These are the prerequisites before you get to this level. All this stuff has to be taken care of. It has to be cleaned up. You need to understand this, that, and that right there. We can't do this. This is why we can't do this. You see, look over here. Look how it's happening on earth. That's why the Creator doesn't allow us to do this. It affects you here. Your spirit is going to have to be restored. You might get caught over here in the night. That's why we're not going to do this, right? We got to learn all of those things. Yo, this is amazing. You know how long I've been looking for this? You know how long I've been looking for because I'm like, okay, clearly, what do you mean don't talk to them? They're coming. They're talking. Like, what do we say? We just ignore them? What do you mean don't talk to them? Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live, right? You communicating, bringing up the spirits. Okay, we know that, but it's not making sense, right? So we search and look at, okay, wow, we don't really understand this. And as we have more spiritual experiences with the spirits of the dead that come to us, because if you don't have a flesh, clearly, according to earth talk and understanding, you've died at some period, so you are considered a spirit of the dead, or we just call you angel, whatever. But this is why. But you can tell higher raised angels from those who are who haven't attained to any higher resurrection, right? Yeah. So let me just read all of this again, right? Look, yeah, it makes sense, right? Let me go back. Look, listen. Let me go back to this whole chapter 6. All right, look. Verse 13. No. Let's go back to 9. Listen. These 5 heavenly spheres, therefore, comprise the whole of the inhabited heavens of the earth, and yet there were thousands of plateaus still further away from the earth and within her vortex, but uninhabited. As for Arokru and Harivaya, they were inhabited mostly by angels of the highest atmospheric grades. God said, from this time forth, all heavenly marriages of brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. Remember, you attain that title, a bride or bridegroom of Jehovah, when you're graduating to the Etherian realms, meaning you've done everything, you're completely cleaned up, You've been washed white as snow, so to speak, right? We first hear about bride and bridegrooms in in the in Revelation, right? They hit. You can clearly, a lot of this stuff that we get more detail of here, we can clearly tell a lot of that stuff has been misconstrued in the Bible. And some misconstrued, but some not fully explained to where we're left to assume what this means, right? Because from the church understanding, you become a bride and bridegroom of Christ. We're going to be raptured up out of here, the marriage supper of the Lamb and all this stuff. It's like this is the wrong understanding. This is what you get is like a lower teaching that's literally coming from spirits who haven't reached a higher level of understanding and wisdom in the spiritual realms. You're getting like a lower level Hada teaching in Christianity, right? Where these terms we hear in Oahspe, it sounds familiar because we got familiarized with them in Christianity. But this actually gives it's the higher understanding. So the bride and the bridegroom, yes, you are graduating, you are resurrecting, but understanding bride and bridegroom from a Oahspe standpoint, meaning you have taken the time, you've cleaned up all your messes, your spiritual understanding has evolved, you've elevated, you've actually worked out relationship flaws and stuff. You ain't got no bad blood enemies, all this stuff to become a bride or a bridegroom. I'm not going to say of Christ, of the Creator. You have to be walking in concert or in complete love with your brothers and sisters, no matter what background they have, what religion. This is required of a bride and bridegroom because you then leave these lower levels of school and now you're graduating to the Ethereal realms. Brides and bridegrooms are those who graduated from the lower heavens up to the Ethereal realms, right? Okay. This makes so much more sense now. Okay, look. Verse 10, as for Aroku and Harivaya, they were inhabited mostly by angels of the highest atmospheric grades. God said, from this time forth, all heavenly marriages of brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah shall take place in Harivia and Aroku instead of as heretofore in the thousands of heavenly kingdoms. Hold on, y'all. Hey, y'all, turn that down. It's too loud. Thank you. Verse 12. And all the Esians shall be hereafter maintained within the first sphere of Hada, within the regions of Demiah and Adam and Hosea. And as they rise in wisdom and strength, they shall advance in place as well as grade, going in the direction of Harivaya and Aroku, from which all resurrections for the Ethereal worlds shall take place. And God caused the boundaries of Adam and Hosea to embrace the eastern continents of the earth, but Demiah embraced the western. Verse 14, to the lords of the hosts, God had said, the great love that mortals have for their kindred who are dead is like a cord forever pulling their souls back to earth. Nor do mortals understand my heavens, and that the soul of man should rise upward. They cry out unto me continually, O God, send thou back to me the spirit of my kin. And they do not understand that their prayers are in opposition to the resurrection of spirits of the dead. And likewise, doth the Esian cry out to me, O God, take me back to my mortal kin, for he also comprehendeth not the resurrection, but in the gratification of his love would linger forever on the earth. Suffer ye not mortals to commune with the spirits of the dead. And the Lord's carried out the commandment of God. That is amazing. Where we at? Hour 26 minutes. Let's go. I mean, it's Saturday. Look. Hold on, what y'all say? So why does the Bible verse say everyone is saved? Well, we already know Bible is chopped and screwed in quite a few different places. Set apart said we are all purifying ourselves by not eating animal flesh. True. Definitely true, right? Jamia, everyone can be saved by their own actions of serving others and purifying their bodies. I completely, wholeheartedly agree with that at this point in my life. I really do. Everyone can be saved if you do these things. It's not to say like giving you an ultimatum, but you can test it out and see, right? You can test it out even just by putting away flesh and blood from your mouth, eating meat. You can tell that you grow spiritually. You really do. Your senses awaken, right? Even if you do it long enough, even your palate will change to where you won't even crave meat anymore, right? Like seriously, and you will begin to notice not only is your body feeling lighter, but your body will begin to heal itself. If you start having, or if you've been having certain issues going on with your body, hey babe, you'll realize once you put away flesh, your body will begin to heal itself, right? And as it begins to do that, your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears open, right? So people that argue against it, they necessarily, I can tell that they haven't even just tested it. Some things we should just test to see if these things be true, and there's a way to test it. Put it away for 40 days or longer, 90 days, right? Eat raw versus cook, right? See how much spiritually enlightenment, see how much more spiritual enlightenment you get by doing it. You can easily test it, and then you can choose. Do I want to make this a way of life? Oh my gosh, I love the enlightenment that I get from the spiritual realm. Oh my gosh, getting up there, like all these things, we can test it. And then we can choose. We can rightfully choose after we've done our due diligence and we tested something. We can choose. Do we want the higher light, or do we want to go back and make our flesh comfortable? But even some people that decide to go back, they didn't already had a little taste of what was really good, and then they have that struggle. They go back and forth till they decide, I'm just putting this away altogether. You know what? I enjoy the higher light, the purity, all of that stuff, right? Yeah, so, but, all right, y'all. Chapter 7, page 589. At the time the roadways of the earth's heaven were completed, which was in the 390th year of the cycle of Bond, this was the standing thereof, to wit. There had ascended as brides and bridegrooms for Ethera 36,000 millions, nearly one half of whom were from the kingdoms of Anusahaj and his sub-gods. Boy, they was putting in some work to redeem all these folk. Come through, y'all. Look. And now inhabiting the 5 spheres, 48,000 million spirits. In the first sphere, or Hada, in which there were 2,400 heavenly kingdoms, the grades were from 1 to 7. In the second sphere, which ranked first resurrection in those days, the grades were from 7 to 15. In these regions, there were 10,000 heavenly kingdoms. In the third sphere, the grades were from 15 to 30. In these regions, there were 4,000 heavenly kingdoms, and including the kingdoms of Anusahaj, 5,000 more kingdoms. In the fourth sphere, the grades were from 30 to 60, and there were 1,500 heavenly kingdoms in these regions. In the fifth sphere, the grades were from 60 to 99, and here were 1,000 heavenly kingdoms, and yet not included in these because of a different kind were the kingdoms of Yatante, the subjective heaven, a visiting place, and with but a small fixed population, but whose visitors and students and teachers numbered 3,000 million angels, graded from 1 to 99, but many of these belonged in other heavenly kingdoms. Such then were the inhabitants of the bound heavens, and they numbered, all told, 48 times more people than the mortal inhabitants of the earth. But in those days, not many women on the earth committed abortions, neither died so many very young children, so that the fetals sent back to inhabit mortals numbered, all told, only 230 million. Let me read that again. That was like a whole long sentence that I should have read a little bit slower. Okay. We're on page 589, verse 10. Such then were the inhabitants of the bound heavens, and they numbered, all told, 48 times more people than the mortal inhabitants of the earth. But in those days, not many women on the earth committed abortions, neither died so many very young children, so that the fetals sent back to inhabit mortals numbered, all told, only 230 million, whilst of vampire spirits of both classes, that is, hold on, let me explain something, or at least from what I understand, what I just read. Okay, so we know that there is no such thing as reincarnation, right? But remember we was talking about spirits who have already passed on, they come back and they put mortal spirits, the native spirits, into abeyance. The unseen realm calls that reincarnation. Not that they came back and this body is a new life with the same spirit. No, there is a natal spirit. There's somebody else who rightfully belongs in this body. But sometimes even from birth, depending on the circumstances that this new babe was born in, or this person, the lifestyle of the mother and the father, the atmosphere, if it's conducive and it leaves a door open for a spirit that's coming back and want to stay on the earth, if it finds an open door there, whether your parents are like on drugs or walking in complete darkness, those are things that open a door where spirits can come in and just kind of take over your body and drive it. Not that it's their body, it's your body. They just put your spirit in the sunken place, or they call it put it into abeyance, put you on the back burner. Yes, Elijah, they fallen into a sunken place. And that spirit that's trying to find a home, that wants to stay on the earth, they come and they take over your body, right? And they say this sometimes happen even from birth. So some people who are born because of the lifestyle of the parents, when that child is born, soon as it hits the air, the natal spirit goes into abeyance, and we never even really met that person, the native spirit in that body, because there was a fetal waiting right there to attach itself, right? So when the father and the mother are out of place, there's kind of like really no protection for real for the child, because you gotta line yourself with the keynote, right? And if you're out of line, you just kind of leave yourself open to all things willy-nilly. Listen, okay, let me read this again. Verse 10, page 589. Such then were the inhabitants of the bound heavens, and they numbered, all told, 48 times more people than the mortal inhabitants of the earth. But in those days, not many women on the earth committed abortions, neither died so many very young children, so that the fetals sent back to inhabit mortals numbered, all told, only 230 million. Whilst of vampire spirits of both classes, that is, such as inhabit gormandizers and gluttons and drunkards and harlots, absorbing their spiritual sustenance and thus making them breeders of infidels, and such as live on the atmospherian part of mortal food, thus causing their mortal victims to emaciate and become insane, there were, all told, not more than 40 million. I'm going to read this again. Listen. You're right. That's what we just got into, Elijah. You're absolutely right. That could be for multiple personality disorder. That's absolutely right. I'm going to read this again. Listen. And this, I forget exactly where. I want to say it was in the book of Fragapati. I want to say that. Don't quote me on it. But they get into a lot of detail about a lot of this stuff and what happens. And when you sit here and you read through this and then you actually look at it, especially if you know some people that have been put into the insane asylum or different places, or they walk around looking like they're out of their mind, or they could have been fine before, then after a period of time, like, man, what happened? It seemed like, and the medical profession would rather classify it with terms and give you medicine, because if they were to actually, and they know, some of them know. As a matter of fact, that book that Susan B. Martinez did called The Field Guide to the Spiritual Realm, she gets into it a lot and really deep. She visited insane asylums, people that had multiple personality disorders. All of this is, when you get down to the root of it, the lives that their parents lived, or if they were fine and as they got older, they involved themselves into different types of lifestyles, promiscuity. All of these things literally open up all the gates in their soul, and floods or legions of spirits can come in and take up residence, put your natal spirit in abeyance, and it seemed like you done lost your mind. The medical field don't want to deal with that. They just said, we're gonna lock you away and we're gonna give you medicine, right? But there's a rhyme and reason to all the madness. It really is. And I'm just like, yo, this stuff is true, especially if you encountered it. Or my sister works in the medical field. She's a nurse, and she comes in contact with a lot of this stuff, and just this stuff is real. Look, okay, let me read this again. Verse 10, page 589. Such then were the inhabitants of the bound heavens, and they numbered, all told, 48 times more people than the mortal inhabitants of the earth. But in those days, not many women on the earth committed abortions, neither died so many very young children, so that the fetals sent back to inhabit mortals numbered, all told, only 230 million, whilst of vampire spirits of both classes, that is, listen right here, whilst of vampire spirits of both classes, that is, such as inhabit gormandizers and gluttons and drunkards and harlots, absorbing their spiritual sustenance and thus making them the breeders of infidels, and such as live on the atmospherian part of mortal food, thus causing their mortal victims to emaciate and become insane. There were, all told, not more than 46 million. Look, my sister just chimed in. She at work. She work in a hospital, one of the big hospitals right here. She said, girl, I swear for Bob. Look, we stopped saying we swear to God, right? We say we swear for Bob, right? She said, girl, I swear for Bob. This lady had people she knew around her. She was having full-blown conversations, right? Like, so my sister, like, Rita Oahspe, when she goes to work, she now, her eyes, who is that? Who's that? Who's that? Oh, I'm like, everybody here who is putting in the code to my door. Look, girl, I'm reading your comment now. Look. Yeah, so when she goes to work, she now, although she's been dealing with people before, she now can recognize spiritually what is happening to people. And she said it is amazing, because she start going room with no doorknobs. She can literally, even though that's not her place to classify people, for her own understanding and working in a hospital and dealing with certain patients and stuff, she's able to kind of, yes, baby.
What is?
It's my stuff. It's my case. She's able to classify inwardly. So although she can't like prescribe them any type of medicine, when she talks to them, because she knows what's going on, she knows how to have a conversation with them without like violating like HIPAA and all that stuff. But she'll actually get them to talking, and she can she understands, because she'll say prayers for the patients and everything, but she's able to classify what's really going on with them, right? So that's all I'm gonna say about that. That's her. I let her share some of that stuff. Gloria said there would be no exorcism in the Catholic Church if it was not. Clearly, right? They know it's real. This is real, right? The Catholics, they do all kinds of exorcisms. Bronze Yogi report. Shalom, Bronze Yogi. Shalom, sorry, shalom. Look, okay, look, let me read this. Y'all, this is so good. We got an hour, 41 minutes. This is good. Okay, whilst we'll start in the middle of verse 10. Whilst of vampire spirits of both classes, that is, such as inhabit gormandizers and gluttons and drunkards and harlots, absorbing their spiritual sustenance and thus making them the breeders of infidels, and such as live on the atmospherian part of mortal food. The atmospherian part, eating meat. Remember the sacrifices they talk about? The essence, the incense and stuff, the spirits that reside in Hada are those that refuse to rise. They hang around meat shops and people that are constantly eating meat. It don't even matter if you're eating clean meat, like the Torah said you could. Remember, the Torah wasn't for the creators cheering, right? Those who are following a higher light, we should not be consuming flesh from any living sentient being whatsoever. Don't even matter if the body can break it down, but eventually it'll take you to your death. Because all flesh inside the human body will deteriorate. The human body, no matter how good you make it sound, oh, I feel this way, I feel so much better. Okay, you keep on going. You keep on going with that. Keep on going with that. Look, oh, my daddy lived to 100 years old. Not eating meat. It would not. How? Tell me how he died. Tell me how he died. Of natural causes. Okay, well let's see the autopsy. What his body really looked like on the inside. And you can't tell me that this didn't have something to do with that, right? You know, not a lot of people are living to 100, but more are living to 100 these days because they're returning to a plant-based eating lifestyle, right? Because it don't matter what kind of meat, clean or unclean, it's going to kill the organs. It's going to lead you to a faster death. You know, that's even medical. They're telling you this medically now, you know, so I ain't gonna fight with people about it. Listen, whilst vampire spirits of both classes, that is, such as inhabit gormandizers and gluttons and drunkards and harlots, absorbing their spiritual sustenance and thus making them breeders of infidels, and such as live on the atmospherian part of mortal food, thus causing their mortal victims to emaciate and to become insane. There were, all told, not more than 46 million. Besides these, there were 31 million lusters who feed on the secret vices of mortals, who were being forever pursued from place to place by ashars, and often captured and carried away to heavenly kingdoms, but will often escape and flee back to mortals. Remember earlier we was talking about the lower spirits, or the spirits of lower grades, how they run around here like toddlers, right? You see parents running after these kids in the airport, around the play, come here, Bobby. You know, the sharks running around here trying to capture these rogue spirits that refuse to rise to rise to higher levels. You know, they catch these jokers, look, ooh, you know. So everybody gets a chance to have that role while we're here. If you have children, you ain't gotta have children, just go babysit. You get to play the role of a Ashar for a little while and see exactly how it is, right? Let me tell you something. Daycare workers are probably some of the best trained. I mean, aside from parents, maybe not. If you ain't been mistaken as a daycare worker when you go out with your own children, I don't really think you're doing anything. Listen, because with my husband, he take all our kids out. It was so funny. Before we moved here, when we were staying in the other place, my husband, he would take the kids across the street to the tennis court, right? And sometimes they would ride their skateboards or do whatever. But he'd go with them. And sometimes our grandbabies would be with him. And so some people that be out there, it's like, oh, what daycare are you from? And he like, you trying to be funny? One of these my kids. And she said, oh, they're all so well behaved. Y'all should see my husband. He come back and tell me this story. But literally, sometimes people think like we work for a daycare when we have our children and our grandchildren. Like, no, lady. Don't you see we all got the same face. We all look alike. These are our children. Don't be funny. Don't do us. Don't do us. Look, but I can say they had their little moments. But even while we was in the airport, even coming back, we stopped to get something to eat, and when the table had got free, I was up in the line. I said, all right, y'all, the table free. Y'all sit down around there. I'm going to get this. James had went to get the drinks, and I was over here about to order the food. They all sat in there, filed like little ducklings, and sat down in this round booth. And so when we had paid for the food and I was over there, Waiting for it, the lady came over there, a little older Caucasian lady. She said, "Excuse me." She said, "Y'all children are so well behaved." And we got that the whole time. I told you earlier, we was going through the lines. She said, "These are the best set of kids I done seen all week." He said, "They so well mannered and so well behaved." I'm like, they better be. Take their head off. Don't get out here and do us. Act like you got some sense when you get out here in these streets, right? We do. We had to get them taught. Before we get in here, don't let me have to say nothing, right? Yo. Okay, let me finish reading this. We're going to end. I think we'll end after this chapter. Hold on. Where we at? Maybe we read chapter 8 because this look good. Oh, and it's short too. What I want to read now. Let's just keep going. I think we're going to read 8 and we're going to be done. Okay, verse 11. Besides these, there were 31 million lusters who feed on the secret vices of mortals who were being forever pursued from place to place by Ashars. Get over here, Bobby. Being pursued from place to place by Ashars and often captured and carried away to heavenly kingdoms, but would often escape and flee back to mortals. Think about the kids trying to get them dressed. They take off running naked, right? People demon possessed, taking their clothes off, running naked. It's a bunch of toddlers. It's the same thing. We're experiencing the same thing on different levels. Yet with all these fetals and vampires and lusters included, never before had the earth remained so long in so pure a state. When the roadways were completed, God proclaimed 7 days recreation in all the kingdoms of heaven in order that the inhabitants should sing and dance and render praise unto Jehovah for the great works that had been accomplished. And on the last of the 7 days, Toivagraha assigned the roads over to God and named them roads of paradise. Whereupon God crowned Toivrohaga, primal god of the roads of paradise, of 1,200,000 miles. God said, after the manner of the government of the Ethereal heavens do I these things. And as the kingdoms and spheres of my heavens are situated within and without, with their roadways and heavenly canals, forming one great kingdom with many parts, it shall be a type of kingdom in Ethereal, which are thousands of times larger, and it was so. And we're going to read this chapter 8, which is only 8 verses, right? It's really short. Jehovah had said, I gave to man legs and feet to walk, arms and hands to work, eyes to see and ears to hear, and withal the capacity to reflect and comprehend and understand. I gave none of these capacities to man to lie dormant or to be useless. Neither can any man advance to my highest kingdoms if crippled or weak or uncultivated in all or in parts of these talents I have given him. But he shall be perfect in all particulars before he is capacitated for companionship with my exalted ones, right? So before you can become a bride or a bridegroom, all this stuff got to be worked out in you, right? Which makes sense, right? It makes sense. How is that wrong? It's not. Absolutely not. There is no wrong or any evil that we can find in that. Get your stuff together, right? Because even do not even our bosses, or if you have a boss, or if you own a business, is that not what you require of your people before you can raise to a higher position? Well, you have to be able to handle this. Why should I graduate you? Why should I promote you right now? Show me what you've done. Can you lead people? Can you lead yourself? You get here late all the time. Why should I? No, you're going to stay here at the lowest level until you get this together. Let's go. Continue to rise in the company. Continue to rise to Ethera, right? Listen. Read that again. Jehovah has said, I gave to man legs and feet to walk, arms and hands to work, eyes to see and ears to hear, and withal the capacity to reflect and comprehend and understand. I gave none of these capacities to man to lie dormant or to be useless. Neither can any man advance to my highest kingdoms if crippled or weak or uncultivated in all or in part of these talents I have given him. But he shall be perfected in all particulars before he is capacitated for companionship with my exalted ones. The Lord said, It mattereth little what kind of workmanship a man doeth, for one may till the soil, and thus train his hands and arms to full development, and another may weave or spin or forge iron, and also attain full development. It is not the kind of labor, but the development that comes of useful practice, which maketh every talent to stand upright in heaven as a glory to the Creator. That's beautiful. He said it don't matter. Remember I tell y'all, I said, look, it does happen in schools too, set apart, right? Look, it don't matter what you do, just do something. Find something and stick to it. Be disciplined. You have to learn how to be disciplined in something. Right, babe?
Just start doing something.
You got to do something. Just pick something. Look.
Run that back.
Yeah, I'm about to read it again.
Run it back.
Verse 4. The Lord said, it mattereth little what kind of workmanship a man doeth, for one may till the soil, and thus train his hands and arms to full development, and another may weave or spin or forge iron. Or you could work in a hospital, you could work at McDonald's, you could run a business, you could work in a daycare. Whatever it is you're doing, the same type of training is happening for you. The Lord saith, it mattereth little what kind of workmanship a man doeth, for one may till the soil, and thus train his hands and arms to full development, and another may weave or spin or forge iron, and also attain full development. It is not the kind of labor, but the development that comes of useful practice, which maketh every talent to stand upright in heaven as a glory to the Creator. For there be servants on earth who neither read nor write, that are better developed in their talents and members than many of the rich and kings and philosophers. Why? Because a lot of the rich, especially if you're the son of a daughter of a rich person, they just get all this stuff handed down to you without experience of your own. You just become a lazy bum. You a lazy bum, entitled brat, right? For there be servants on earth who neither read nor write. Hey, little baby. Which one is that? Jackson. For there be servants on earth who neither read nor write, that are better developed in their talents and members than many of the rich and kings and philosophers. And when they die and enter my heavenly places, the ranks encased in my kingdoms seem to them to be upside down. The rich man or the king or the pleader, and in parentheses, the pleader is the lawyer, or priest or the philosopher may be as a helpless child, while he who was a pauper on earth may be as a very God over them to lift them up. Neither is the preference to the rich, nor the poor, nor to the philosopher, nor the fool, for any of these may be as dwarfs in some talent or part, whilst also any of these may be a most perfect man in spirit. Verse 7. And we got two more verses and we done. Neither is the preference to the rich, nor the poor, nor to the philosopher, nor the fool, for any of these may be as dwarfs in some talent or part, whilst also any of these may be a most perfect man in spirit. So God established through his high-raised officers schools and colleges and factories, heavenly, adapted to the spirits of the dead, even as similar places are established on the earth for mortals. And this, y'all, I think we're going to pause here. I don't want to stop, but I think we need to pause. My house is getting louder and louder as the moments pass. So we're going to pause right here. This is good. I think I may reread chapter 8. I think I may read. We're not here tomorrow. So Monday. But we're going to pause right here, y'all. We'll pause right here. But I will reread chapter 8. Let me put here, reread chapter 8, so we can just flow right into chapter 9 and keep going. But this was really, really good. Thank y'all for hanging out. Reread chapter 8. Okay. All right, beautiful people. That is it for today. Page 590. Thank y'all for hanging out. We at the literally almost at the 2-hour mark. We're 3.5 minutes shy. But y'all, it is Saturday, September the 10th, 2022, day 209 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count. It is day 1227. We started God's book of Eskra today in Oahspe, and we read pages 585 to page 590. It was a great read, right, Elijah? This is so good. I'm gonna go back and reread this over. This definitely helped answer a lot of questions with some of the things I was struggling with, especially not struggling with, but struggling to understand on why. Because remember, nothing here, even prophecy, there is nothing left to chance. We just don't understand the missing pieces, right? So trying to put these pieces together, Eskra is going to be a good book. It started off so good, and I'm sure we're going to come into some more jewels that help us understand some more things here that we're dealing with. All right, so let's see for today. Let me see. I don't want to repeat everything that all the prayers or the words of prayers and adoration. I want it to be not repeated of something that I read, but something that I make up myself. But I do look in and get inspiration based on all that we read today. Let's see. And y'all can join in if y'all like. If y'all start thinking of ones in the beginning and in the end, I'll read them. I'm going to still do my own, but, I'll do it. I'll read y'all's too. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Wait, no, that's kind of selfish. Oh. I'm trying to rephrase this so it's not about us or him giving us something, but completely about his glory, his creativity. Let me see. How can I? Let's see. I'm thinking of a way to word this. Guys, stop it. Jackson, slide down the stairs. Okay, y'all, hold on. Father, you are... Hold on. No, that's still kind of selfish.
Garage door.
You probably should go put them up, though, and not like in the middle of the floor. Because then we're going to trip over them.
Maybe I think of something else. I'm trying to think of the right word because anyway, I rephrase that in my mind. Still kind of like selfish, pointing back to us. We benefit from all that the Creator is, but I'm just trying to make it like, let's see. Oh my gosh, and everybody with all the noises around. Let's see. I'd be at a loss for words sometimes because some of these words I didn't already use, and I want it to be something different. I'm going to have to break out a dictionary and get synonyms and antonyms and stuff and start using them. Father, your magnificence. For me to describe it is hard for me to put into words. You know what? That's going to be it. Father, your magnificence is hard for me to put into words. It really is. Like, the more that I learn, sometimes it's hard to find English words to just really describe what it is. And even the words that we can describe, it doesn't seem to do justice on how amazingly, totally awesome you are. That's it. Look, yeah. Oh, Kendrick, yes. Girl, you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn so much. Kendrick said, excellent read today. I just received the book Field Guide to the Spirit World. Looking forward to reading it. It's amazing. I didn't listen to the whole book, and I started listening to it again. That's one of the ones that you can find on Audible, right? So I like to put that in, especially when I go driving. I just pop that in, And that's one you're gonna have to read over multiple times, especially if you have a real active spiritual life or you interact. It's a lot of spiritual activity going on around you that you can recognize, see, and feel. That book is so good. It is so good on helping you recognize exactly what it is. It even goes into, it's some funny stuff in there about exorcisms and people when they're trying to figure out what this is. And it's crazy. Sometimes, you know how they realize that pain will drive a spirit, not necessarily pain like emotional pain, but pain like I'm gonna whoop your tail type pain to drive a spirit out, because it doesn't necessarily want to be in a body that's has pain inflicted on it, which is why the Catholic Church, when they do exorcism sometime, you will see in movies where they'll like strap people down in chairs, or they'll take, sometimes they'll take crosses and they'll put it on their head or whatever, trying to think and that'll work. But they're in what you call it? They don't necessarily electrocute them, but it's like electroshock therapy. All of this type of stuff comes from that, although they word it differently. But who in their right mind would go shock a human to get to freedom from some of these vices and stuff? Because they know there's another spirit there that has your spirit in abeyance, and they're trying to get the spirit to turn them loose, trying to get the spirit to turn you loose. It's funny, but it's not funny. But it's like, we have really been asleep to what's really been going on around us, all around here, right? But that book it's an amazing read. It's an amazing resource, right? Okay, Elijah. Elijah. Okay, Elijah did one. Okay, great creator of all, you are truly magnificent and sublime. We thank you for teaching us of your ways and purifying us with your all light for your sons and daughters. We thank you and give you praises. We ask you, Creator. I am the I am, to purify and lead thoughts to your truth and grant them your peace. Selah, so be it. Amen. It is beautiful, right? Thank you, Elijah. Yay. So everybody, y'all can do one, right? I don't care if 10 of y'all drop one day. I'm going to read all 10 of them, because we can't put no time period on praising our Creator, right? It's absolutely amazing. All right, y'all. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I will see y'all back here Monday, because tomorrow we're observing the Sabbath, right? Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. So I see y'all back here Monday, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Birds.